Kiwis are still spending up more than the market can supply, further pushing up inflation. The Reserve Bank has lifted the official cash rate by 50 basis points to 3%. That's the highest level in 7 years. Reserve Bank Governor Adrian Orr joins us now for more this morning. Good morning, Adrian.
Morning.
So it looks like we are going to avoid recession at this stage. Some commentators say the idea that there will be this kind of smooth, soft, gradual, soft landing is optimistic, though. How confident are you that that's actually what we'll be able to achieve?
Well, that's exactly our central outlook. That's the pathway that we see most likely, a relatively slowing in the economy, the ability to actually supply the goods and services being demanded being easier to meet, and inflation pressures coming out. So, the quicker actual inflation starts to fall and people see that being coming through the economy, the easier it will be. That's a path. It's not a very wide path, but it's the one that we believe is the most likely outcome.
Demand domestically doesn't seem to be cooling off, though, or not enough. What is driving that? Without doubt, households and consumer spending has been incredibly resilient. You've had very high levels of employment. Our terms of trade, our export prices remain at very high levels, even though they've come off just recently. The government's fiscal position is still expansionary, and household balance sheets, even with house prices having shifted, remain very robust in aggregate. There are people out there, at the margin stretched, but in aggregate, people are still spending. But we are seeing the initial signs of slowing. You're seeing global inflation coming off, which is a great thing, in part through energy and food prices, mostly energy. But also you're seeing the tentative signs of inflation expectations coming back down in New Zealand. Forward orders in the construction sector in particular declining significantly. We're still swallowing that massive build at the moment. But beyond that, there are signs of slowing growth, labour resources becoming more available, and inflation pressures easing. When the cost of living payments end after the 3 payments, do you think that's going to make much of a difference to consumer spending? It's important for households in most need. It's not big beer when it comes to the aggregate economic activity. So, it's noted in our projections, it's captured in our projections for interest rates, but, that's not the big news story. The bigger stories will be around global energy prices, if they can stay at least where they are, if not ease further, but also that slowing in construction spending and freeing up of more labour resource available. Labour is the scarcest resource on the planet at present. In terms of the Reserve Bank policies and whether that played a part in pushing inflation higher, where is the bank at with that review? We're well progressed. So, without doubt, central banks globally, and this one included, have been part of that inflation process. We deliberately eased rates significantly in the face of, the unprecedented, horrific time that we've come through around COVID. Cash flow and confidence was important. We've been raising rates for over a year now, easing back on that, and we are reviewing our actions over the last 5 years. We'll be making that public. We've got international experts who will be independently looking at our review and commenting. So, by the end of this year, we'll be out talking. But that doesn't stop us learning now. We've been taking on significant lessons, on an ongoing basis, as we've seen around what have we been missing around the inflation components, what role have various parts of the economy played beyond what we expected. Our biggest surprise to date has been labour. Just the labour shortage just continues. That's been a surprise with the border closures? The borders, have been reopening. I'd have to say... But the borders have been reopening around the world. We're in a competition for a workforce that is also looking at, nursing jobs in Australia. That's right. That's what we're saying. Globally, there's a labour shortage. So this wasn't something we could predict? Sorry, I'm trying to explain. I've never seen that happen internationally simultaneously. This has been a global economic shock, the first one, internationally in 100 years around a pandemic. People have changed their behaviours. Getting people back to work full time, it's a different activity. So, that's an important part of it. Yes, our borders have reopened. Yes, other borders are reopened. But internationally, to see such a labour shortage is phenomenal.
Well, you mentioned the international experts that will be assisting in the review of the Reserve Bank policies. Do you see that for some, a review of the bank by the bank could be problematic?
Well, that's why we're getting international experts to look at it.
And you're satisfied with the level of transparency the bank has had around those review processes?
Well, we haven't put the review process out yet. And yes, I think you have to realise we are one of the most transparent central banks in the world. And I don't say that lightly. That's what we pride ourselves on. I encourage all viewers to join, look at our website, to be involved in what we do. There's very little left unpublished in this institution. So we're incredibly open about our purpose, about how we go about our purpose, and about how we're learning on our way through. The review we're talking about is a once every 5-year review of our monetary policy remit. We've taken it upon ourselves to also, as part of that remit, look at how monetary policy has behaved over the last 5 years and put that all on the table. When you look at it globally, New Zealand sits at the lower end of global inflation at the moment. So while the Reserve Bank has had a role in inflation, it can't be the only role because we only deal with New Zealand's inflation rate. But globally, we are in heightened global inflation pressures. We're a learning institution. We're working our way through. And, I honestly believe that inflation is on its way down and that, the course of time will show that.
Reserve Bank Governor Adrian Orr, really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on AM this morning.